This documentary contains disturbing pictures. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Call it mutton, shaven or meat, and you know right away that you're referring to a popular delicacy all over the world. People from all walks of life enjoy it and would not hesitate to purchase some, whether for private use or for a special public gathering. For more than half of Ghana's over 25 million population, their soups and stews are incomplete without it, and for those that would opt for a regular occasional bottle of their favorite beverage, the khebab comes in handy. But despite the overt and covert love for this delicacy, widely recognized for its rich supply of protein to humans, many persons still live completely ignorant of the challenges that the average sheep, cattle or goat merchant, as they call themselves, go through. So, where are the abattoirs? Or do we not know their essence to our existence? Over the last decade, many magnificent edifices have been put up, either wholly funded by government or through government's own initiative. Then we pause to ask, is the abattoir not equally important? How shall we work in these edifices if all what we eat is prepared in very unhygienic conditions? Shall we all then not die? Governments have come and gone, yet the situation remains unchanged. Even more dangerous is the conspicuous absence of abattoirs and the hard truth that these animals are slaughtered in very suspiciously unhygienic environments. Clear indication that before that chunk of meat hits your plate, it may possibly have gone to places that you least expected. The issues, as you may have heard, are as worrying as they are disturbing, and so we came on to Parliament, the House of Legislature, where these laws are passed, to ask them what laws they have passed in respect of this, how the laws are being implemented, whose responsibility is it to implement the laws, and whether or not we need alternative solutions to this problem in order to give Ghanaians a dignified life when it comes to the consumption of meat, because whether we like it or not, they will still consume meat every single day. Let's go now into the lobby of Parliament and check out what they have to say.
It's obvious that we have some sort of situations where the abattoirs, that is not the best. Is the veterinary that gives the operational certificate. Of course, the FDA will go and then look at the standards according to the Food and Drugs. And so they are two, they go hand in hand. And we also have to also collaborate, or the assemblies also have to collaborate with these two sectors or these two agencies to make sure that abattoirs are in the right conditions.
So, where are the abattoirs? Or do we not know their essence to our existence?
It is a little bit of worry to everybody, because my brother, anything that goes inside the system must be well prepared. Yesterday it was in the news that some 2 guys have been jailed for unhygienic procurement of meat for the general public. I think it's not the best option. The abattoir, I lived on the Spanish Road, and I think that was in order. So it is better that government intensifies or puts up more of those structures so that they meet the people, because the strength of a nation is the health of the people. If the people are living in good health, then they'll be able to work hard for the nation to develop. So it is better government puts up more of those structures, that's the abattoir, so that we can get well hygienic meat for our consumption.
There is the need for us to streamline the situation and make sure they are at the right places. But we should also provide the alternative avenues for these people so that they can, earn a living. Because as at now, we have a lot of unemployment in this country.
Perhaps this could be a ploy to push these ones out of their hard-earned employment and livelihood that they created for themselves to complement the efforts of government. Yet, instead of encouraging them by putting up befitting structures to aid their business, we have decided to price the poor, serve them an evacuation notice, and maybe finally eject them forcefully. So, what have the opinion leaders been saying?
My name is Ni Ankra, and I have 2 children with 2 women. My children attend King's Palace School in Naboni. This is where I make a living to cater for my family. I don't really need any poor assistant to fend for myself. This is where the Jamestown slaughterhouse once stood, but it has been demolished. I have a vivid mental picture of the structure back then because I worked here as a boy. It was a very big building, and the size of the land buttresses my claim. If my memory serves me right, the slaughterhouse was demolished on the 19th December 1998 under President Rawlings. We have seen and heard a lot from MPs and government officials who keep assuring us that the slaughterhouse will be rebuilt for us. Mayor Van der Poy has been here, so has Nilante Van der Poy, our MP, and the late Alhaji Aliu Mahama during President Kufuor's reign.
About 20 or 25 years ago, when we were much younger, we had some of these sanitary inspectors who were very, very powerful. And anytime they were coming around, people were compelled to clear their surroundings, clean them, and we don't know what has happened to that department. They are still in existence, the numbers have increased, but they are not as effective as we used to know them.
Very unfortunate, and we are calling on all the local government and the local government ministries and the government to set up various abattoirs in the country, because you realize that not only Salah, even Christmas festivity, a lot of meat, people have to eat decent meat.
Thanks to the existence of the Ghana National Fire Academy right across the street, they get some good water to wash the slaughtered carcass because they claim the sea contains some impurities. To complement the benevolence of the fire service, they also have a standpipe to aid their activities. Ahead of the Eid al-Fitr celebrations, the livestock merchants are expecting their business partners to return from the north with extra stock. But this heap of residue from the Makala construction and the activities of this excavator is competing for the little space left. This scenario leads us to question the real reason behind the demolition of the abattoir that once stood at the Jamestown beach, and the reason it has not been reconstructed after nearly 2 decades while the business continues regardless.
Definitely, this is not something that we can be proud of at all as a country. A lot of these slaughterhouses or abattoirs or slaughter slabs, they do not even have the operational certificate. And it's also true that it's a country where a lot of us, if even we know the law, we will break it. And it's also true that our officers will not be able to cover all the country. But yes, we have the district assemblies, we have the local assemblies, we have our assembly members who attend assembly meetings.
In spite of the litany of promises made by politicians, their plights worsen by the day and the end doesn't seem near. So, as usual, they threaten the politicians who took advantage of them to secure votes for power in the last elections. They say 2016 is just around the bend and they would vote for only those who actually help them. But must it always come to this?
We are talking about approved and unapproved structures. So it's not about the politics of it, but it's about our attitude as Ghanaians. It's about me as a butcher. If I'm going to slaughter, why am I going to slaughter my meat? Me as a consumer, if I'm going to purchase, do I have to ask questions? Yes, I do.
For the over 300 breadwinners that run this makeshift sheep pen and abattoir, their interests lie largely in where their next paying client would emerge from. Their purpose is to trade their commodity at relatively low prices in order to flourish their business and feed the families that depend on them. The news team's investigative agenda thus played second fiddle to that. We had a tough time convincing them. Business, though not as brisk as one would expect around this time of the year, still had a handful of clients trooping in. Here at the Jamestown Bode, a minimum of 100 Ghana cedis could get you a goat or a sheep. So what really is the problem, and why can't the abattoir be put up for these ones?
I think currently the political will and the education are the priorities, because with the resources we have now, if we put our heads together, I think we can manage the situation better than we are doing now. The laws are there, but most of the time they are not enforced. Sometimes some people tease that the only laws that are obeyed in Ghana are the rule that you should go to a male toilet instead of, apart from a female toilet if you are a male, and vice versa. But the other laws, many people don't obey them, and I think we have to sit up as a nation.
Even if we are paying 50 pesos when you're going to buy meat to consume more abattoirs, I think it is in the right direction. So all of us should contribute. People are not very much devoted to the duty that we are assigned to execute. For example, if I'm in charge of communication, I must sit down, be proactive and innovative to make sure that this thing we need to do it, then make sure we execute it. But if you want to sit down for someone to come and prompt you before you do something, it always brings about that kind of behavior that we see in this country.
So for what is happening on the ground, for what has been demolished some time back, all these things, it's not what we are talking about. If we have 5 in the system, it must be right.
Interestingly, history has a way of reawakening our conscience as to the promises that we made and broke. And when it does, we must quickly come to the realization of the fact that though we may have made promises and broken them, it has its own severe consequences. Is it that they aren't worth the investment, or that the Food and Drugs Authority and the AMA are really not worried about the looming health danger it poses? Perhaps this is just another price tag slapped on the poor by duty bearers. Shall we sit and watch, or shall we speedily act? At least we know now that the Veterinary Service and the Food and Drugs Authority must collaborate at all costs to ensure food safety. We have also been made aware that the local authority have their own role to play. But what seems unclear is the fact that after all the talk, the much needed abattoirs and cold vans and refrigerators where the livestock can be properly slaughtered, safely transported and stored at the various markets are not available as it stands. In place of that, the FDA expects consumers to drive all the way to the abattoir on the Spinks Road, no matter the distance, to have their livestock slaughtered hygienically for them. How to transport that and where to store that is certainly not part of their equation. Maybe if they would treat this matter with the same urgency with which they treat expired goods, we shall come to a successful solution. So, until the much needed amenities are provided by authorities that draw salaries from our taxes, we must either take care of ourselves lest we all die. The conundrum thus is, after all the allegations and counter-allegations, the work remains undone. So we ask, quo vadis, where do we go from here? And mind you, all eyes are watching, even those of the livestock that do not receive some dignity before departing this earthly plane.